Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Uh,
Good morning.
well, welcome to the yes, good morning. Well, welcome to the presentation of Subnational Audit Efficacy Index 2020, brought up by Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative (PLSI). Please, can we just give us a few minutes for more people to join the discussion before we begin? Thank you. So we'll be back in the next 5 minutes. everyone. Once again, welcome to the presentation of Subnational Audit Efficacy Index 2020. I hope we can all see the agenda displayed on the screen. Okay. So we're starting with introduction of participants. We have the welcome remarks and essay index objective. After that, we'll take the goodwill messages, then methodology and scoring criteria. Then we have the presentation of essay index 2020. We have questions and comments, and then we have the wrap-up. So a few house rules before we begin the meeting. Please, I'd like everyone to put their microphones on mute, unless you have to talk. And then if you want to make any contribution, please, we can do that by raising our hands or putting it into the chat box. Thank you. So we'll start with introduction of all participants. So if I call you, we just want you to tell us your name, the organization you are representing, and where you're joining from, your location. So we have Abdullahi Adebayo. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, good morning. My name is Abdullahi.
Yes, good morning.
Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. I'm joining from Abuja.
Thank you, Abdullahi. JBC.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name is Adibisi Adeshaki from Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. I'm joining from Ibadan.
Thank you, JBC. Arise. Okay, Bukola Showande.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bukola Showande from Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. I'm joining in from Ibadan.
Thank you, Bukola. Chinedu Bafi. Okay, can we have Shibaya then?
Hello everyone, I'm Gabe Shiban from the cable. I'm joining from Abuja.
Thank you. Can we have Frank Ipefan?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Frank Ipefam. I'm joining from Abuja, the Nation newspaper.
Thank you, Frank. Christiana Amodu. Christiana, are you there?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Amodu. I'm joining from Nigeria Customs Broadcasting Network.
Thank you, Christiana. Ifoma.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ifoma Onoha from PLSI, Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you, Ifoma. Arise, can we have you now? Kola.
Morning, everyone. From Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative, I'm joining you from Ibadan.
Thank you. Joke Falaju.
Good morning. My name is Joke Falaju. I write for the Guardian newspaper. I'm joining from Abuja. Did you get that?
Yes, thank you, Joke.
Okay.
All right, can we have you now? Okay, give.
My name is God before and isn't the newspaper.
Give, sorry, we didn't hear you clearly.
God gives only belief in previous day newspapers Abuja.
Olawale Okunima. Sorry, Olawale, we did not get that.
Okay, my name is Olawale Okunera from SDSA Prestige Limited. I'm joining from Ogun State.
Thank you, Lord. Toyin Akini.
Good morning. My name is Tony Akini. I work for Luminate, and I'm based in Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you, Toyin. Sam Waldock.
Good morning. My name's Sam Warlock. I'm Head of Governance, Conflict and Social Development at the British High Commission in Abuja. And it's very nice to be with you all this morning. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Sam. Tosin Apiriola Ajayi.
Good morning. I am Tosin Akpidiola Ajayi. I am the Executive Director of Women, Environment and Youth Development Initiative, an NGO based in Ilorin, Kwara State.
Thank you, Tosin. Rafiat Agunloye.
From PLSI Abuja.
Sorry, Rafiat, we didn't get that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Agunloye Rafiat from PLSI Abuja.
All right, thank you. I think we've all introduced ourselves. Please, if you haven't introduced yourself, can you raise your hand, please? Anybody?
Yeah, there's Olani Olale. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olani Olale. I work for International Budget Partnership in Abuja. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dee.
All right, Tunde Oguntola.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Tunde Ogutola. I work with Leadership Newspaper, Abuja.
All right, thank you, Tunde. So we'll go straight to the welcome remarks and SAE index objective by the Executive Director of PLSI, Olusegun Elema.
Yeah, thank you very much, distinguished guest. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to have you, and we're happy to do this. It's a first of our index, the Subnational Audit Efficacy Index. And then, of course, we've tagged it 2020 edition. It's also the very first in Nigeria where you're having a civil society organization, very important to the development space, measuring accountability at the subnational level. using public audits and other key stakeholders involved in the public audit cycle. So it's the first in Nigeria and perhaps maybe in Africa where you're measuring subnational accountability performance using public audit. So we can say that really it's novel in Nigeria, it's novel in Africa, and we're happy to do this. And then we're happy to have you all participate in this meeting where we are now unveiling the assessment that we have carried out. The purpose of this assessment is to measure the level of transparency and accountability, operational in the management of public funds in all 36 states of the Federation in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, through the lens of public audits and key actors in the public audit cycle. Yes, we have deployed certain methodology and scoring criteria in providing this assessment, but we can say that those criteria and the methodology that we adopted are, very objective methodology. In fact, I can say that we have been very magnanimous as an organization in adopting that methodology, because we do not only want to, seem to be, attacking government, which we don't do. It's not our philosophy. As a matter of fact, we work very closely with government institutions, and we believe that to foster development and good governance in Nigeria, we must come to the table to continue to discuss with government. We believe that government will always do what it wants to do, but with influence of stakeholders and civil society organization, are not just to be seen to be perhaps waving affronts, whatever you call it, before government. We believe that it must be a partnership, and that's why we are very, very committed to the open government partnership. In Nigeria, we were very alive in the first National Action Plan, as well as in the second National Action Plan. So we believe that at every level, whether at the national or subnational, we must continue to work collaboratively with government to forge good governance and development. And of course, very important as well, to improve service that are delivered to citizens. So we're very magnanimous in adopting this methodology and scoring criteria, just so we can encourage subnational entities to adopt and improve on their accountability structures and financial management practices. So like I said, it is the first for us, and we're happy to do this, and we're happy to have you involved in doing this with us, and we hope that this will continue as an annual assessment to continue to measure accountability at subnational level. Already we're doing that at the national, but we want to see what's happening as well at subnational level. And that's why we're doing this, and we really are happy as an organization to have you all in the room this morning. Thank you very much, and we look forward to very fruitful deliberations this morning.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have goodwill messages from two people, Toyin Akini and Sam Waldock. So we'll take Toyin Akini from Luminate for a goodwill message.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be here, and on behalf of Luminate, I'd like to first appreciate Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative, PLSI, for the opportunity to share a few words on this occasion of the launch of PLSI's Subnational Audit Efficacy Index 2020. Luminate supports efforts to build stronger societies, including by strengthening public participation in governance processes. Hence, we're proud to support PLSI's work, their work to stimulate reform in public audit processes as part of broader efforts to bring about financial transparency and accountability in Nigeria. Public financial management is definitely important, And no time do we need this process to be more effective, more transparent, and accountable than now. Many countries, including Nigeria, have been impacted adversely by the pandemic. With the current financial challenges that Nigeria is facing now, ensuring strong systems are in place to identify and block all leakages and also to achieve economic stability becomes really important, perhaps even an emergency. Um, Public audit plays a central role in stimulating transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. The public audit process is an accountability mechanism built into the Nigerian legal system, though the practice needs further strengthening. Now, while it's important to strengthen the Supreme Audit Institution and the processes, getting public audits rights, at the subnational level is equally very important because, as we know, this is the closest government to the people and one that requires public oversight. In a difficult financial situation as Nigeria is currently, as I said earlier, it is important that states have strong accountability structures in place, to ensure prudence and effective use of public funds. But prudence and transparency in the management of state finances is important, as is oversight of the audit process at the subnational level. So this makes the subnational audit efficacy index an important tool for the measuring, for measuring the performance of the states in this regard. Also, it is important that we all play our parts as media, as organized civil society, and as citizens of our beloved country, Nigeria. I believe we owe our states and local governments the duty to demand accountability of the audit institutions at these different levels. As citizens, we have a role to play in amplifying, for instance, the findings of this subnational audit efficacy index. We can join PLSI to leverage this audit data, to monitor states' remittance practices and identify any missing or misdirected public funds as a first step in advocating for better public revenue management. So I look forward to the discussions later in the meeting and hope that our resolve to continue to provide oversight for the public finance process will be further strengthened, that our citizens will be more active participants in the governance of our resources. I will therefore appreciate PLSI for this important initiative once again. I congratulate you on the launch of the index, and I look forward to learning, as everyone else here, how, for instance, each of 36 states of the Federation has performed. So thank you all for your attention. I wish you happy deliberations and hope you enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toyin. So we have Sam Waldock, is the head of governance, conflict and social development, British High Commission. Just, can we have you for a goodwill message? Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you this morning. Thank you so much for having me along. I'm really excited about this index and excited about the launch. I think that this is coming at a really important time because COVID has put huge pressure on state finances. And we sort of see it in the media a lot, don't we, at the moment? But, whether it's struggling to pay wages or pressure on services, the fiscal squeeze that is kind of hitting state governments at the moment is very pronounced. And of course, the reasons for that are about oil, about domestic resource mobilization. But I also think they point to a future beyond oil. And so I think it's a good chance for us to take stock of how states are performing in terms of their financial management. The point I want to make is just that the strong institutions around financial management, I think, matter more than ever. I think the pandemic has shown that. This is about, of course, minimizing corruption, but it's also about ensuring value for money. It's ensuring good outcomes for citizens. It's about quality. And building strong institutions is at the heart of this. It's about how do you ensure that you get the most from every single naira spent in the state. And, you know, as part of the institution building effort, the UK really supports this initiative to ensure financial autonomy of state houses of assembly and financial autonomy of state judiciaries. And we really welcome the NGF's commitment to seeing this through. This is a very important reform in terms of institution building. We also see institutions in the states in terms of financial management as a bit of a cycle. All of the different elements in the state need to be working well for public money to be managed well, and different parts of the system are responsible. And I just want to highlight a few areas that we think are really important. At the state government level, financial management, producing good accounts and ultimately spending the money well, that's obvious, but it's absolutely key for the state civil service to be doing that. We also are obviously passionate believers in a strong audit function. And we know that many states don't yet have modern audit laws, and not all states have sufficient independence for their Auditor General. There's a lot that can be done in this area, and that's obviously the focus of this report. But we also need to look beyond the audit or the Supreme Audit Institution as well to look at the wider context that those audit reports sit in, and particularly the role of the Public Accounts Committee. The role of PAC in making recommendations, in processing audit reports in a timely manner, being able to challenge, but then how much teeth PAC has, so whether they can make recommendations, whether they can follow up on recommendations. These are all really key elements of the audit cycle. And then finally, we see a really important role for civil society in holding states accountable and ensuring that there's real transparency and that the citizens understand the performance of states in terms of their audit process. But we also see a key role for the media, and it's really great to see so many media organisations here today, because the media plays a fundamental role in helping the public understand. So there's lots to be done around audit in all of these areas, and when it comes together, it can be quite transformative. But of course, a good, robust legal framework is a really, really good start to that. And what this report shows is there's a real mixed level of performance across Nigeria. We have some excellent performers and some quite poor performers. And my second point is I just want to commend the good performers. So we have Delta, Jigawa, Kaduna, Lagos, Niger State and Rivers. They all come out really high on this index, and we want to congratulate them. As I said before, there is great variation. There are some lower performers, and no one gets it right. None of us do. But I think there's a real opportunity here for some states to learn from other states and for us to sort of share good practice. And there are some states that have made great progress in the last year or two. So, for instance, we've just seen Zamfara, Delta, Kano, Edo, all showing progress around enacting modern audit laws. And we just encourage those states and other states to do more, because half of states still don't have these modern audit laws in place. Now, of course, a lot of this is about the local context in a state, and of course the politics of a state and the civil service reform agenda in the states. But also, a lot of this financial management work is quite standard stuff. There's a lot that can be done by lifting good practice from one state to another. And this is my last point. This for us is why comparisons really matter. And indices like this are really good, because they can really help to ensure that good practice moves between states. And we see civil society having a really key role in this. They have a huge role to play in ensuring accountability, but also in driving these cross-state comparisons and working with state governments and the federal government to ensure that there's an awareness of the performance of different states is really important. And also working with the media to name good performers, but also to shame poor performers. Now, I know that this is the first time this index has happened, and I'm sure that, like anything that's new, there'll be lots of chance to refine it and to strengthen it, but it's really great it's happening. And we hope this index becomes really established, like the SERDOC Budget Transparency Index. We hope it goes from strength to strength. The UK is really committed to this agenda. We put our money where our mouth is. In the last 5 years, the UK has spent £100 million on strengthening institutions, civil society and democracy in Nigeria. And we're very committed to supporting agendas like this. I want to end by just saying that in the current economic climate, the fiscal squeeze that states are facing is obviously really difficult, and it's having real world consequences for people. But we also, as the UK, see a real opportunity here. We have an opportunity for states to rethink to enhance their legitimacy, to build much needed trust with citizens. We see the pandemic as a potential turning point where states seize the opportunity to involve citizens more and to share more information. And we really hope that this report spurs that. So thank you very much for having me along, and we really wish you all the best with the discussion today and with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So we have our methodology and scoring criteria by our research officer in PLSI, Bukola Shawande. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bukola Shawande. I'm the research officer for PLSI. I'm going to share my screen so we can move along. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So in carrying out this research, we employed certain methodology and scoring criteria. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet, please.
No.
How about now?
Yes, you can see it.
Yes, we can see. Yes.
Okay. So in carrying out this subnational audit efficacy index for 2020, we employed certain methodology and scoring criteria. The subnational audit efficacy index was for the 2019 financial year, which was carried out in 2020. We aggregated data from different states, from all the 36 states except for Abuja. Now, certain key criteria qualify this data as a valid data source. So one of them is the data must have been published by a subnational constituted authority in Nigeria. Secondly, must be publicly available on a dedicated government website. And lastly, must contain very necessary information and void of ambiguity, so we could easily analyze the data. The SAE is assessed using the subnational entity fiscal information. This is these three criteria is vital for the assessment of the subnational audit data. The first one is the subnational entities fiscal information. The second is the legal framework for the establishment of this audit data. The third is the stakeholder involvement in the public audit cycle. Can you all hear me, please?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear now. It was breaking at some point, but I think we can hear now. And if you can slow down a little bit for us, please.
Okay. So I'll take the key criteria again. The key criteria for the subnational audit entities. The first one for the subnational audit efficacy index 2020. The first one is the subnational entities fiscal information. The second one is the legal framework. The legal framework, which is the modern audit law and the regular and timely publication of audit reports and financial statements. The third one is the stakeholder involvement, which is citizens' involvement in the public audit cycle. Do public account committee make recommendations? Do they even exist in some states? These are some of the key criteria we employed. Then in the standardization of data sources scale from 0 to 100, where 0 equals to the lowest and 100 equals to the highest. This standardization is done by aggregating scores from all stages of assessment, which includes availability of financial statements, audited financial statements, audit reports, and to be published by states, by these states. Secondly, operationalization of modern or obsolete audit legal framework, which is still very much in existence right now among most of the states. The third is the legislative involvement in the audit process and executive actions. The legislative involvement is the recommendation of the state's public accounts committee upon review of the Auditor General's report. Then the last is the executive actions on audit recommendations and the level of citizens' participation in the audit process. There are key assumptions here during the course of carrying out this assessment. The assumption is based on the autonomy of subnational parliaments in Nigeria, necessitated by the assumption that state legislators are not able to perform their constitutional duties on public audit independent of the executive arm as provided for in section 125, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which states that the Auditor General for a state shall, within 90 days of receipt of the Accountant General's financial statements and annual accounts of the state, submit his report to the House of Assembly of the state, and the House shall cause the report to be considered by a committee of the House responsible for public accounts. The objectivity and integrity of the legislative exercise on a state audit report produced by the Auditor General is independent on the autonomy of such legislators. This is what is mostly lacking at the subnational level. At the national level, we see and we hear reports of the Public Accounts Committee, but at the subnational level, we most likely have non-existent public accounts committees. They may exist in paper, but their recommendation and executive action is truly lacking. It is also, finally, it is also assumed that due to lack of independence of the state legislature and the executive arm is taking ineffective or no action at all to correct audit anomalies that should support improvement of public finance management practices and accountability mechanisms in the states of the Federation. We will encourage states to adopt a public finance management accountability which encourages public audit cycle at the subnational level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Please note that we've dropped the link to the methodology and scoring criteria in case we want to have a broader look. So we have the presentation of the SA Index 2020 by Olusegun Elema. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you once again, and thank you for your time this morning, staying through with us through this presentation. I'm going to just go ahead now to present the report itself. Please hold on, I would like to share my screen. Just give me a second, please. Right, stop presenting. Please, can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
all right, thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thank you, Tony, for that wonderful statement. I think what stood out for me in what you said is that we're not beginning to look at that level of government that is closest to the people. And I think it's very important to, like you said, to ensure that there's prudency in the management of public funds at the state level and at the local level. So I think those are some of the things that stood out for me. And I think one other thing that you said that stood out for me is that we must continue to identify and block financial leakages. I think that is what is currently lacking in most of the states that we assessed. Also, Sam, thank you very much for making yourself available to us this presentation at the shortest notice. Thank you so much. We deeply appreciate your endorsement of this index. I think that one of the things that you said that stood out for me is that this index will facilitate transfer of public finance management practices between states. So we can then, have an opportunity to transfer practices between states that we have assessed that are doing well or that are improving in their PFM practices, and transfer those practices to states that are then upcoming or aren't doing well. So thank you very much. You also mentioned that the role of PAC in making audit recommendation is very, very crucial, as well as the activities of civil society organizations and media in the public audit cycle, especially at state level, is as important as we have at the national level, and that we must continue to ensure value for money. I think those are the statements that stood out for me. Thank you very much. I will now just go ahead with the presentation proper. The background to this is that, in 2015, the federal government approved $2.1 billion to provide intervention. And I'm sure we can still remember what happened at that time, that state government could barely pay salaries. I mean, that is the primary obligation of this subnational government. They could barely do that at that time in 2015. And it looked as if we were going to have, not that it looked as if, we actually had a very huge fiscal crisis on our hands at subnational level. As such, the federal government had to bail out these states. Yes, that had gone, but even now with COVID, you could see that, of course, the economy went into recession last year, and we just came out of it. We're still struggling with many sectors of the economy. And then at state level now, many of the state governments are reversing the minimum wage, the 18,000 minimum wage that they had signed with labor unions. They're reversing on all of that now. Look as if we're beginning to have some kind of fiscal crisis again at subnational level. And for us at PLSI, what we're thinking, and we've always said this, that yes, we need to ramp up revenue, whether at the state or at national or even at local level. But more importantly is that we need to continue to look at how these resources that are being mobilized are utilized. Just a few days ago, there was this issue about the Nigerian Port Authority and whether the operating surplus of that very important agency of government, operating surplus to the tune of 163 billion, was not remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. So there are issues of accountability everywhere, but more importantly at subnational level, that we don't even know how much governors spend, on whatever they call security votes, and how they utilize these votes, and some other budgetary provisions. And you see that citizens are crying every day that services aren't delivered to them, or are not efficiently or effectively delivered to them. So we are looking at this important this important level of government to scale up services that are delivered to citizens, and to ensure that public funds and resources are adequately accounted for. So that is the background to this index. Then there is the issue about Section 125 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and we feel at PLSI, it's our opinion that subnational governments, and more importantly legislature at subnational level, cannot perform their role, constitutional role, on public audits without their independence of the executive arm. So we endorsed the call to ensure the independence of the legislature and the judiciary at subnational level, because we believe that the independence of the legislature is very critical to Section 125 of the 1999 Constitution. The Public Accounts Committee, as our research officer Bukola mentioned earlier, the Public Account Committee will not be able to effectively discharge its constitutional duties if the parliament at state level is not independent of the executive. So we're very, very keen on that and advocating and joining all other stakeholders to advocate for that independence of the legislature and that of the judiciary at state level. But in going into the context of this index is that, yes, we understand that there is significant room for improvement. The SAE Index 2020, ranked 12 states, including Delta, Jigawa, Kaduna, Lagos, Niger, and Rivers, as Sam mentioned earlier, as some of the states that have the most potent audit process in Nigeria. I mean, they scored 70 over 100. Like we said, there is still significant room for improvement. We want a situation where states can score as much as 90, even 100 on 100. But also is that Anambra, Borno, Yobe, Katsina, and Gombe, occupied 13th position, with 60 over 100 as their score, while, Oyo, Sokoto, Imo, Benue, among others, had, occupied 25th position with 40% score point. But what stood out for us in all of this assessment is that even though we were, like I said earlier during my opening remark, that we were very magnanimous our approach in the scoring criteria, because it's our first, and we really want to encourage subnational government and not to be sulky, but right to see Enugu, at the 36th position, and the state, barely made 20%. That Enugu should, be doing better in its, accountability structures in that state. In concluding, this presentation, the lack of independence, like I said earlier, at subnational level is a cause for concern for us. And it is evident by the recent call for legislative and judicial autonomy across the 36 states of the Federation. Like I said earlier, the inability of state assembly public account committees to issue recommendations. And I must emphasize again that even at the national level, up to today, since 1999, not one recommendation has been issued by the public account committees of the National Assembly to correct any of the previous audit anomalies that have been identified by the Auditor General for the Federation. So if the national is not even setting good example, then what do we expect of states? Like Bukola mentioned earlier, the public account committees at state level, they do operate on paper, but we haven't seen anything with regards to what they have done in their review of the Auditor General's report at their states. In fact, most Auditor Generals in states are not even independent in carrying out their functions. So there are a lot of things that we really need to spotlight with accountability structures and mechanisms in states. If Auditor Generals in states are not independent, I mean, you read audit report and you see where Auditor General that is supposed to be oversighting the executive, applauding the governor and, in some cases, thanking the governor, and you want to, question the independence of such Auditor General. Now, if such Auditor General is not independent, and that is what we feel at PLSI is responsible for not having audit reports where you just have financial statements and audited financial statement. We want a situation where state Auditor Generals produce audit reports and comment on the account of the states, and where there are irregularities, they are able to spotlight that for the state assembly through the public account committees to then take up and then question the approach of the executive at state level in their management of public funds. So I think that's very, very important, and there's a lot of web there that we need to really, separate. Similarly, the failure on the part of subnational audit institutions to allow for citizen participation in the audit process, renders audit functions inadequate and unable to facilitate sustainable development. We believe that subnational audit institutions must, deliberately involve citizens in the audit process, because that's how we're going to really accelerate sustainable development. If citizens that are victims of abuse of public, financial management practices are involved in audit process, then what then does the Auditor General of the state comes up with at the end of the day? Like I said, they aren't even coming up with anything as we speak. Very, very few states are producing full audit reports. Many of the states are just producing financial statements and audit certificate, which we believe is not sufficient. It is disappointing for us at PLSI to know that 50% of the states, including Sokoto, Imo, Osun, Benue, and Anambra, do not have modern audit laws that should guarantee independence of the Auditor General in their states and enhance effective stakeholder involvement in the state audit process. Some states, including Zamfara, Delta, Kano, and Edo, are however showing progress. Yes, these states are doing well, and we encourage them to do more. Also, we really want to, spotlight Delta State here. Delta is one of the few states, if not the only state, that has now published audit reports on COVID-19 intervention. Thank you very much. We will now go to the dashboard to see exactly what the dashboard looks like. Yes, this is the Subnational Audit Efficacy Index 2020, and we have ranked 36 states of the Federation. As you can see, you can either use the map here to know exactly what the states rank, or you can use the table. In using the map, so you can see Cross River around here. This is Cross River. Cross River ranked 70, and scored 70, and it was ranked first. Cross River is among the 12 states that ranked first on the index. And then there is also Delta. You can see Delta here, ranked 70, ranked first and scored 70 as well. And then there is also Akwa Ibom, also scored 70. Like I said, there were some of the states that scored 70. There are about 12 of them and ranked first. Yes, there is also the likes of Anambra. Anambra is on the map. Give me a second. Yes, this is Anambra. Anambra scored 60% and ranked 13th. And ranked 13th as well. Then we have Adamawa. Adamawa here scored 50% and ranked 18th. Then we also have Kano. Kano here scored 50% as well and ranked 18th. We have Ogun as well. Ogun here scored 50% and ranked 18th. Then we also have the likes of Oyo. Before I go to, we have the likes of Oyo. Oyo scored 40% and ranked 25th. We have Kwara. Kwara, scored 40% and ranked 25th. We also have Imo. Where is Imo now? Is Imo still on the map? Okay, yeah, this is Imo. Imo scored 40% and ranked 25th. Then we also have Bayelsa. This is Bayelsa here, scored 40% and ranked 25th among those states. But like I said, Enugu, it was really, Enugu scored 20% and ranked 36th. So if you want to really look at the entire map, yes, you can look at it and check where your states are. wherever your state is, and check what the score is like, and then you can as well use the table to check what the index is like. So thank you very much. This is Subnational Audit Efficacy Index 2020 by Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. Of course, with your support and all the support of our donors and all our partners, thank you very much. And we really want to thank Luminate for supporting, improving the efficacy of public audit in Nigeria project. Thank you very much, Luminate. We really, really appreciate this. This support is what has also enabled us to come up with this index, and we're looking to improving on it and ensuring that public finance management practices and accountability structures is subnational, at subnational level in Nigeria is improved upon, and then, of course, to the benefits of citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we have dropped the link to the report on the chat box, so we can download from them. Can we hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can barely hear you.
Take questions and comments from journalists and CSOs. So if anyone has any question or comments, please raise your hand and I'll call you. And you can also drop our questions on the chat box. Okay, let's have Tosin.
Yeah, Tosin Akpiliola Ajayi, that's my name. I'm the Executive Director of Women Environment and Youth Development Initiative, as I introduced myself earlier. I want to say kudos to PLSI team for the great work done. This is indeed a paradigm shift from what we have been having. For some of us that have been in civil society space for 10, 15 years, I think this is a very good one. I'm just curious. I wish we can have more, this information well propagated across the region or across states of the Federation. And I also want to encourage the PLSI team that this should not be the end of it. I heard you made mention of that, okay, you want to make it an annual event. However, let's start looking into ways where we can engage the state governments by maybe advocacy and doing a brief of what we have published and showing them where they rank and what we can do better. And it should not be at the state level only. Let's see what we can do at the national level with National Assembly to engage them also, to ensure we call state into order to achieve a greater result. Thank you.
Thank you, Tosin. I don't know if Olusegun would like to address that.
Yes, let me quickly respond. Thank you very much, Tosin, and thank you for those kind words. Yes, we will. Okay, let me just quickly start from where you stopped. Also, our intervention at the national. Yes, we're doing some work and lots of work. In fact, that's where we started from. We've been intervening at the national level with regards to public audits, and we've done quite some work with that, with involvement of our partners, civil society, and all our donor partners. We will continue to support national work as well, as we're doing right now. We are supporting to the federal audit bill, and we will continue to do that. We believe that that legal framework is critical to what's happening at national, and we are not taking our eyes off the ball with regards to that. Also, on your comment about engaging the states, yes, we will engage the states through the conference of state auditors. We will engage the state auditors, auditor generals, through that platform. We will also engage through the Nigerian Governors Forum to engage with the state. And we are going to really take this. All we're waiting for is this index to be able to have something to engage these states on. So we will engage the state, and we will, like I said, we do not, at PLSI, would not believe in only in criticizing government. We also provide solutions to all of the issues, policy issues, governance issues that we highlight. So we are going to be engaging with states in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Olusegun. Do we have any other person with a question or comment?
I think there are some questions in the chat box as well, if you can take it.
Okay. Okay, so this is from Tunde Oguntola. It says, what is your advice to states that scored low in the 2020 Subnational Audit Efficacy Index report?
Okay, thank you, Tunde. Our advice as an organization is that the most, I think our research officer, Bukola, mentioned earlier, some of the criteria that we used in analyzing, in providing this assessment. We looked at the financial records of these states. And the financial records that we looked at the financial statement, we looked at the audited financial statements, and we looked at the audit report. That is on one level. Then we also looked at the legal framework for public audit in that state. That's on the second level. Then on the third level, we looked at the stakeholder involvement in the audit process of that state. Now, the stakeholder involvement includes the parliament, as well as civil society and citizens. Now, on the first level, we will encourage states that scored low to publish full audit reports. They should publish full audit reports, not just financial statements, not just audited financial statements, but they should publish full audit reports, because that's very, very important to what's happening, and it also improves citizens' knowledge of fiscal condition of the state, particularly with regards to services that ought to have been delivered to them through the budget process. So citizens do not just only want to see numbers, they also want to see the narratives behind the numbers. So that's why we encourage states to publish full audit a legal framework, to improve on their legal framework in a modern audit law, and ensure that guiding audit process in that state is modern. And finally, is that once we have the independence of legislature at the state level, I believe we will have improvement in so those are the three things. So improve the legal framework, then publish audit reports, and also ensure the independence of Parliament.
Thank you, Olusegun. But please, can you take that again? We didn't hear you clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so what I said is that there are three things that we look at in providing the assessment. We look at the financial records of the state. We also look at the legal framework for public audit in that state, as well as stakeholder involvement. The states that scored low, they want to improve on their score, we encourage them to publish full audit reports, not just financial statements and audited financial statements, or financial statements and audit certificates. No, citizens do not only want to see the numbers, they also want to see narratives behind the numbers, so they can gauge services that are delivered to them, whether they're efficiently delivered. I think it is the Auditor General and the audit data that can provide that kind of information. Also is the legal framework. We're encouraging states that score low to adopt a modern, to enact a legal framework that is modern, and then allow for independence of the Auditor General in that state and possibly provide for improved involvement of stakeholders. Then at the third level is that there must be improved participation and involvement of stakeholders, particularly the legislature, through the public account committees. So, like I said, once we have the independence of legislature in the state or subnational level, then I believe we can then approach the problem of involvement of public account committees in the states. I think those are the three levels. So there are three layers to the issue. Publish full audit reports, adopt modern legal framework for public audit in the state, and then ensure improved stakeholder involvement. Those are the three things.
Thank you. Please, can we have the Olani?
Okay. Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Olani Holaleye. I'm a program officer with International Budget Partnership in Abuja. So I would like to use this opportunity to thank PLSI for the work they're doing in the whole budget process and in the whole audit process. They've been doing a wonderful work when it comes to the federal government. And I also like this initiative of them taking it further to the subnational because we know that most attention has always been on the federal government and people really pay less attention when it comes to the subnational government. So my own comment with regards to this rating is concerning what the state are doing, because over the years I've been able to analyze what most states call audit report on their website, and I would go along with the line of Shegun that says what they publish is not really an audited statement. What we see is only figures. If you say you spend so much particular amount of money on capital expenditure or to execute projects, then what are the projects you executed? Why did you spend this amount of money from the one allocated, and where are the reasons? So we've not been able to see this when it comes to audited financial statement of state. What we only see as state brandishing figures and without proper explanation of how money is being spent. Another comment I would also like to make is over the years, we see that even most states don't publish statements. They don't publish financial statements thanks to the work World Bank is doing through SEPTAS that made states to start publishing what they call audited statement on their website. And we've seen this progress from like 2018, 2019, and some of them in 2020. So my question is, even after the SEPTAS project ends in Nigeria, what action are we taking to make sure that states actually continue in this process, like making sure that the audited statement is published, not only just about the figures, and how can we exert pressure on states? I was thinking on the line of still using international pressure, because we see that that actually goes a long way in making sure states publish some of their documents. The example which I've made earlier, which is the World Bank. So how do we make sure that states continue in this process? Like after the World Bank projects end, then would that end publishing of audit statements by state? Or how do we make sure that states actually being responsible to the people? So that is my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lani. Ocean, please can you address that?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Nii. Thank you very much. And I know Nii has done quite some work with subnational fiscal responsibility. So thank you, and thank you for the work you are now doing at the IBP. Thank you very much. And thank you for those kind words as well, for the work that you have done and the intervention we're providing now for the subnational. Yes, the SIFTAS issue has also been our concern here at PLSI. And then we fear actually that there might be some policy reversal once the SIFTAS program end, with many states, rolling back some of the reforms that have been achieved. That is still speculative; it's not actual. But we feel there is a possibility for some states to then go in hiding again. But in order to avoid that is why we are now coming at this time. We wanted to provide some form of sustainability for that SIFTAS program, such that when the program ends, you won't have a case that you have just, the scenario that you have just painted, where states are no longer publishing this very important accountability information. So that's why we now want to quickly come in and see what sustainability we can engineer in that regard. And we feel that, like I said earlier, the stakeholder involvement is very, very important. And then the legal framework is very, very important. So for states that have a modern legal framework, all we just need to do is to leverage on the legal framework and provide some kind of advocacy in that state that will allow the state parliament and citizens in that state to then take this all up by themselves, so that when the SIFTAS program ends, this accountability approach will not end with the SIFTAS program. So that's for states that already have a legal framework. But for states that do not have legal framework, that is even more delicate now. And the SIFTAS program is probably going to end in about a year or two. So we would need to accelerate, legal framework for those states. The legal framework that the state assembly, once they get their independence, can leverage on to do their work. And then the civil society and media stakeholders in that state can then, spotlight what the parliament in that state is doing, and then what the Auditor General is also doing. So so there are two ways to it. The ones that have legal framework already, we're going to, move in and, provide some kind of advocacy support for those states. But the state that do not have legal framework is more tedious, but we need to get the work done. We need to support, that state to provide that legal framework, such that once the independence of this legislature comes in next few months, like Nigerian Governors Forum said, then they can leverage on that to do the work they need to do through the public account committees. And then the civil society and media in that state can also get involved in the process. I think with all of this, perhaps we should have some form of sustainability.
Thank you. So there's a question here from Etim Onen. It says, what should the states that score low do to improve their audit reports? Okay, I think you answered this question already. Thank you. So any other question or comment?
Yeah, there is Jafar who is raising his hand.
All right, Jafar, we can have you now.
Hello. Hello?
Hello, please go ahead.
We
Jafar.
can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, what actually my question has been attempted to. But just to add to what you have said, or to verify much about what you have said, for those states who have yet to introduce or to, establish the framework, the legal framework, what do you think the TSO at the local level or at the state level can do in order to bring them into board? And so also, what have you done in a way that you carry most of those stakeholders at the state level along, so that some of them will be get aware of, the modern auditing law? I don't know whether you get my question right.
Yes, I got it. Yeah, thank you, Jafar. Thank you very much. So there are two questions you asked. One is that how do those states that don't have legal framework, what do we do with them? How do they, get a legal framework? And the second one, like I understood, is that are we working with stakeholders, particularly civil society, in that state, to then see how they can advocate for a legal framework? So yes, the states that do not have legal framework, like Sam mentioned earlier, it's an opportunity now for states for transfer of PFM practices between states. So what Sam said earlier is very valid, that now the index can provide the opportunity for instance, maybe some of those states, and if we share our data set with you, you see all of those states that do not have modern audit. For instance, Imo State is still, leveraging on the 1956 Audit Act at the national level. So Imo State has refused to, Kwara. Same thing goes for Plateau, and then same thing perhaps goes for Sokoto State. These states do not have modern audit law, so they can look at, for instance, what Rivers has done. They can look at, for instance, what Kano has done. So they have states where they can borrow from. Okay, why has Rivers gone up? Why did data go up? Why did Lagos go up? So they can see and check with that, and then borrow from that. Also, with regards to stakeholder involvement, yes, we are providing support to civil society in states, and then I know we have been to Kaduna. We're doing some work across the Niger Delta now, and then we're going to be doing some more work across the northern region. So we're providing, support, and then we have been to Kano, we have been to Sokoto, and so we are enhancing capacity of civil society in this state to understand the role of public audit, to know how to engage with, subnational audit institutions, to know how to engage with, the legislature with regards to the role of audit in providing accountability structure for management of public funds, and then to see how they can use audit data to track service delivery. So we're providing all of this support, and we hope that we can do more, of course, with support from our donor partners, to be able to do more of this and scale it all up. I believe that if we're able to scale it all up and empower critical stakeholders, including civil society and media in those states, then we'll have some kind of saner environment with regards to public audit at subnational level.
All right, thank you, Olusegun. Is there any other question or comment?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up if there is no. Yes, we're just about on time. We can wrap up if there's no other comment.
All right, Olusegun, would you like to say anything before we end this meeting?
Okay, yeah, the only thing I just want to say is, again, appreciate everyone who's joined this presentation. Thank you very much for part of this presentation. Thank you, Tony, for making yourself. Thank you very much. I apologize for that, for crashing into your schedule. Thank you also, Sam. Thank you. I can see you. Thank you, Jokemian. Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much. I can see Christina Modu. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can't mention everybody, but thank you for being part of this. And we're looking forward to taking this up to use this as tools of engagement, like I said earlier, with the Conference of State Auditors, as well as with the Nigerian Governors Forum, and then with all of those individual states and stakeholders in those states, including civil society and media in all of these states. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that at this point, I then transfer back to Wilson to wrap up. Thank you.
All right, thank you everybody for joining. I believe we have come to the end of this presentation. Please, if we need access to any of the presentations, please check the chat box for the links. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you also. Bye.